All right, so we're diving into some pretty cool stuff today. Sound frequencies and how they can maybe help us sleep better.
Yep, that's right.
And we've got a whole bunch of stuff to dig through, articles, research summaries, even a YouTube video.
A good mix.
Yeah, the goal is to figure out, like,
Mm-hmm.
what exactly are solfeggio frequencies and binaural beats?
Mm-hmm.
And, does the science actually back up all the stuff you hear about them?
Right, like, do they really work?
Exactly. And ultimately, we want to see if any of this stuff could actually help people get a good night's sleep.
Absolutely.
Because who doesn't want that?
Seriously.
Okay, so maybe this is a dumb question, but before we get too far, can you remind me, like, what even are solfeggio frequencies? I keep hearing that phrase.
Oh, sure, yeah. So basically, there's specific tones, kind of like musical notes.
Okay.
And the idea is that each of these tones has like special properties, maybe healing properties or something like that. Yeah, they've been used for centuries, like in chanting and stuff, but now science is kind of starting to look at them more closely.
Gotcha. And so how are those different from binaural beats?
Ah, good question. Okay, so with binaural beats, it's a little more, I guess you could say it's a little more trippy.
Trippy.
Yeah, basically, you listen to two slightly different frequencies, but one in each ear.
Okay.
And then your brain kind of creates this third tone, this called a phantom tone, that you hear even though it's not actually being played.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And apparently, this third tone can actually affect your brain waves.
So, like, change how your brain is working.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. And supposedly it can help you relax, maybe even fall asleep more easily.
Okay, so the binaural beats are like messing with your brain waves.
Mm-hmm.
And the solfeggio frequencies, those are more like what? Vibes.
Yeah, kind of. Like, each frequency is supposed to have a certain vibe or effect on you. But like I said, science is still trying to figure out how much of that is real.
Right. So let's talk a bit more about solfeggio frequencies. I read somewhere that they go way back, like ancient times.
Yeah, so their exact origin is a bit of a mystery, but they're often linked to Gregorian chants from way back, like medieval times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and some people even think they might be connected to ancient Indian Sanskrit chants, too.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, so there's this long tradition of using these specific frequencies for different things, healing, spirituality.
That's pretty wild. Like maybe our ancestors were onto something.
Maybe so.
All right, so there are 9 of these solfeggio frequencies, right?
That's right.
And they all do different things.
Supposedly, yeah.
Okay, so which ones should we be paying attention to for sleep? Like, are there any that stand out or that have some science behind them?
Well, there's one called 432 hertz. It's sometimes called the heartbeat of the earth.
Heartbeat of the earth. I like that.
Yeah, and this one is kind of cool because it aligns with something called the Schumann resonance.
Schumann resonance, what's that?
So it's basically the Earth's natural electromagnetic frequency.
Oh, cool.
And there was actually a study done in 2019 that found that music tuned to 432 hertz could lower people's heart rate and blood pressure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which, kind of suggests that it could be relaxing.
Makes sense. Like aligning with the Earth's natural frequency could help us chill out a bit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about how calming nature sounds are.
Totally.
Okay,
so 432 hertz, that's one to remember. Are there any others that are good for sleep?
Yeah, there's also 528 hertz, which is sometimes called the love frequency.
The love frequency. Okay, I got to hear more about this.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot of attention.
I bet. But is there any, like, actual science behind it? Or is it just, a nice idea?
Well, there's some research that suggests it might be able to reduce cortisol levels.
Cortisol, that's the stress hormone, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
And stress definitely messes with sleep.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I guess if you can lower your stress, it makes sense that you'd sleep better.
Makes logical.
Okay, so we've got the heartbeat of the earth frequency and the love frequency. What about these other solfeggio frequencies? Like, I read that some of them are supposed to help with, like emotional stuff, like fear or guilt, those kinds of things that can keep you up at night.
Yeah, there are definitely claims about that.
Do you think there's any truth to it? Like, can sound really help with that kind of stuff?
I mean, it's definitely possible. We know sound can affect our emotions, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like certain music can instantly change your mood.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's not that crazy to think that certain frequencies could maybe help us release negative emotions or calm our minds before bed.
And if you can calm your mind, you're more likely to fall asleep, right?
Right, and that's where this whole idea of brainwave entrainment comes in, especially with binaural beats. Remember, those are the ones that create that third tone in your head.
Oh, yeah, right.
So how can those help with sleep? Well, think of your brainwaves like different gears in a car.
Okay, I'm listening.
So when you're awake and alert, your brain is in high gear. It's producing beta waves.
Makes sense.
But as you start to relax and drift off to sleep, your brain waves slow down and they shift into like alpha waves, then theta waves, and finally delta waves.
And delta waves are like deep sleep.
Exactly. Deep restorative sleep.
Gotcha. So are you saying that binaural beats can like shift your brain into a lower gear?
Basically, yeah. By listening to binaural beats in specific frequency ranges like delta or theta, you're kind of encouraging your brain to sync up with those slower brainwave patterns.
And those the patterns that make you sleepy.
Right. So the theory is that it can help you fall asleep faster and get a deeper sleep.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So we've got solfeggio frequencies,
Yeah.
maybe helping to calm our minds and release negative emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And binaural beats maybe helping to shift our brainwaves into a more sleepy state.
Exactly.
But the big question is like, does any of this stuff really work? I mean, there's a lot of hype around sound healing, but what does the research actually say?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. And that's what we're going to unpack in part 2 of this deep dive.
Okay, so stay tuned, folks, because things are about to get sciencey.
We'll be digging into the research, looking at what studies have been done, and seeing if there's any real evidence to support these claims.
Awesome. I'm really curious to see what we find.
Me too. It's definitely a fascinating area of research.